Hello, everyone. Uh, let's see. Mm, fucking. Uh, limit bandwidth? No, no, can't cancel. Uh, gonna have to put the volume up. Great. Something I don't want to do. Testing. Fuck me, man. Okay. Uh, okay. I'm trying my damnedest to get this to work because it's been a while. Okay. Uh, let's see. Fucking God, my back hurts to look. Can you hear me, Dan? Cause I don't know. It's difficult. I'm trying not to be too loud. Fuck me, man. God damn. Let me light a cigarette. See, the problem here is I can hear myself just fine because the audio goes through my speakers, so it goes through my headset. My microphone works, so I can hear myself talking to myself always. Always. I actually have to put the volume down sometimes. So me talking this low is working just fine for me. But the thing is, Google's not picking it up because it's not even hitting the first fucking dot on the fucking Google Hangouts microphone meter thing. There's 6 dots at the bottom. So the first dot's barely moving half the time. Active Posture liked my tweet, apparently. That's weird. Also, apparently, it's supposed to be very clear and refreshing today for weather. Well, that's nice. Um, flu's gone. Um, I have a hacking cough now, but that's basically the uh, phlegm in my lungs. Uh, like the phlegm in my lungs is still there, and so every once in a while I have to hack up some of it with a cough. But other than that, like flu's gone. Flu's been gone for like oh god, probably 3 days, 3 4 days easily. Um, tooth pain was gone for a while. It started kicking up yesterday. Uh, kind of flared up earlier, like an hour or two ago. Uh, back pain. Holy fuck. Like, so my okay, so tooth pain's manageable. I have some pain. I have some tooth medication. It's a gel that you put on your gum in your tooth or wherever it hurts in your mouth, and it'll numb it out. I was using that last time I did a stream, which holy fuck was 9 days ago. Did not know 9 days have passed. But my back. So my brother was laughing about it because I told him how it happened. A myoclonic jerk happened. That's what's happened. So for the people in that live under rocks that don't know what a myoclonic jerk is, if you're ever asleep or you're just falling asleep. Sometimes your brain starts to panic, and there's multiple causes of a myoclonic jerk, like seizures and stuff like that, myoclonic seizures. But one of the main reasons for a myoclonic jerk is the brain starts to think, if I'm remembering this correctly, the brain starts to think that it's dying because the body's not moving. It's a very random occurrence, and so what the body does is it jolts the body, and so usually it's in the form of like your leg jolting, and that's what happens when you jolt awake. Well, I had a really bad myoclonic jerk while I was sleeping, and I jolted so hard, my whole back tensed up, and so my back has not untensed itself, and so all my muscles around my spine between my collarbones has been tense, and it's just burning pain. I can barely turn my yeah, I can turn my head now. Like I couldn't turn my head to the right fully. It was just too painful. But like I have a lot of tension in my back when I'm turning. So it's kind of painful. And it's kind of sucks trying to sleep. So there's that. But yeah, that's what I've been dealing with for the last 2 days, couple days. It's been a couple days. It's been bad, real bad. And I haven't had painkillers to fuck or muscle relaxers to fucking ease my back. So some things I wanted to rant about because I've been thinking about them all day and a few days. First thing's gonna be real short. Second thing might be a little short. Not entirely sure. So the first thing, the Venom teaser. That was not a teaser, and I even stated on my Facebook. Um, it does cause a little discomfort. Like I'm kind of hunched over a little bit, like to try and relieve some of the tension. Because I'm thinking like maybe if I open up my discs, like if that actually works, like if that'll help relieve it. But so yeah, the Venom teaser. I posted on my fucking Facebook like that was supposed to tease me into wanting to watch the Venom movie because it showed nothing, absolutely nothing. We saw a crash ship of some kind or some kind of crash landing with the military. We saw Tom Hardy in an MRI machine and then him screaming, and that's about it. Those are the only two things. Oh, and then the Venom, it's the symbiote's face at the end with Venom. Like, and then if I don't even remember if they had a release date. Like that's how bland and boring that teaser was. But yeah. So here's my problems with this movie. It's not even that. It's not like any of the actors or whatever. Um, it's not even like the fact. Like I'll grant Sony this. It's nice that they're actually doing the Lethal Protector. Yeah. Actually, no. Yes and no to that. It's nice that they're doing the Lethal Protector storyline. Like they're actually going to the comic books. They're actually going to make a comic book movie. They're not just going to be like, "Hey, let's just throw Venom into a movie and just do some crazy shit with him." So at least they're doing that. Problem though is Lethal Protect. If I remember correctly, because it's been years since I've read a comic book, and it's been years since I've read a Venom comic book. If I remember correctly, Lethal Protector, the Lethal Protector series takes place after Venom thinks he killed Peter, aka Spider Man. They were on an island. They started fighting each other, and Peter was like, "There's no way I'm going to be able to beat him, and there's no way that like I'm going to be able to stop him from coming back to try and kill me because Peter's a superhero. He doesn't kill. He'll accidentally kill, if I remember correctly. And if I remember correctly, Craven's Last Hunt. I think no, Craven's Last Hunt. I think Craven just dies of old age or some shit. I don't think Peter actually outright kills him. So Yeah, like Peter Peter doesn't want to kill Eddie Brock. Like he fucking despises the symbiote, but he's not going to kill Eddie. So he goes, "Fuck it, I'll fake my death." So he fakes his death. He goes into hiding, and Venom, the symbiote, and Eddie Brock are like, "Finally, we killed Peter. We killed Spider-Man. Fuck that dude. What do we do now? Let's be a vigilante in San Francisco." And if I remember correctly, that's how Lethal Protector happens. Do you notice how? Do you notice something that I just mentioned throughout that whole little synopsis that leads into the Lethal Protector series? Venom thinks he killed Spider Man, so he decides to do something else. That is not going to happen in this movie. That's not even the biggest glaring fucking problem I have with the movie. The biggest problem I have is that the symbiote, what makes Venom Venom, is the fact that it has Spider Man's powers. How are they going to explain how the Venom symbiote has Spider Man like powers in this movie? And if they, because that's the main, because they're doing Eddie Brock. They're doing Eddie Brock. You can't do a Flash Thompson esque Venom with Eddie Brock. So that'll make people go, they'll go, wait, what? With the whole Flash Thompson Venom thing. So going into more comic book lore. Uh, so Eddie got removed from the symbiote, and then a mob boss bought the symbiote. It was in a jar. Long story. Basically, it was in a containment unit. Mob boss buys it, gives it to his son. The mob boss's son is just an asshole. That the symbiote doesn't like him. So during a fucking night out where the Venom symbiote and this mob boss son are the same being and they're doing shit, the Venom during a in the middle of a jump, like between two buildings, the Venom symbiote just detaches itself, and the mob boss's son falls to his death and dies. And then it attached to Matt Gargan, who is the Scorpion, and he was Venom for quite a long time. And then, oh fuck, then there was Anti Venom, where Eddie Brock, if I remember correctly, Eddie Brock had some like like he had some of the Venom symbiote still in his bloodstream, but it wasn't active to the point where he could actually make the Venom symbiote appear on himself. And then he got touched by Mr. Negative, who's part part of a bigger fucking backstory with Cloak and Dagger and Roxxon and shit like that. And oh god, Mr. Purple, I believe that's his name. The dude from the Jessica Jones series where David Tennant plays as him. He's also part of like the Mr. Negative and Cloak and Dagger shit because they were all experimented on by Roxxon. But he gets touched and he turns into Anti Venom. And Anti Venom, as the name implies, is anti Venom. And if I remember correctly, Eddie used the ability to used his anti Venom symbiote abilities to remove Mac Gargan from the symbiote. And then the US military collected up the Venom symbiote. And so that comes into Flash Thompson. Now, Flash Thompson is widely regarded and widely known as the bully that beats on and picks on Peter, but is a massive Spider-Man fan. So there's that uh, little bit of conflict and drama with the character. Well, he went to Iraq and he got his legs blown off, and so he's now a veteran, a disabled veteran. And so the U.S. military goes, "Hey, we got this alien symbiote. You probably have heard of it. It's the Venom symbiote. You want your legs, Lieutenant Dan? Wear the symbiote. It'll give you legs, some shiny new legs. Also, you're gonna have to take these pills. If I remember correctly, he has to take pills to suppress the symbiote from turning into Venom. Like the what Venom looks like. And so when he puts it on, it looks like a bug outfit, kind of like a military outfit, sort of, with like carapace shoulder pads and a chest plate. And the helmet has like white outlines to look like the outline of Spider-Man's goggles. And so there was that. And then if I remember correctly, he loses control. Like that was the whole um, suspense element of the comic book is, will he be able to finish his mission before the medication wears off? Because if I remember correctly, he's given the medication before his mission, and then he has to come back and then take the medication. It was stupid. I did not like Agent Venom. So, anyways, uh, then Eddie Brock went on a fucking killing spree and he killed all the he started killing all the symbiotes and their hosts, which was fucking stupid. But Marvel was like, we got too many symbiotes, like Toxin. Oh God, Poison. I think that was the other. No, Hybrid. Um, uh, and both of those two are actually good guys. Uh, if I remember correctly, did he kill? I forget if he killed Carnage. I forget. But he went on a killing spree and then he reattached with the fucking symbiote and then he went into space and he became a Guardian of the Galaxy member. Fucking comic books, everybody, because that makes sense. Go on a killing spree, kill all these symbiotes, get them out of the way so we don't have to deal with those characters anymore, because nobody's reading their comic books and nobody cares about him anymore. We'll kill them off, and then we'll launch Eddie Brock into fucking space, and he can fight alongside Rocket Raccoon and Groot, and then go to the planet of symbiotes, because that was a big storyline. So the thing is, you can't do a Flash Thompson storyline mixed with Lethal Protector, because even in the Flash Thompson thing, the symbiote has Peter's powers. Like that's the big fucking that's my biggest hookup. That's not my biggest problem with this Venom movie. How are they going to explain the symbiote being able to have incredible speed, agility, durability, wall crawling abilities? What are they going to be able to do? It looks like Venom. Like that's one of the biggest things. And the thing is, the Venom symbiote looks like that because Peter. Peter. So, hang on, because we're gonna have to go back to the merry old fucking comic book lore again to explain why Venom looks the way Venom does. Oh God. So it was in the 80s, if I remember correctly. Secret Wars. Big, one of the biggest fucking crossovers, quote unquote. Basically, the Beyonder, this fucking godlike being, scooped up a bunch of the Marvel superheroes and scooped up a bunch of the Marvel villains and then had them duke it out. So you had Galactus, Doctor Doom, Magneto, fucking Professor Xavier, Captain America, Thor, just a bunch of fucking characters. And Spider-Man was one of them. And so they were in a big fight. One of the most iconic, if I remember, yeah, one of the most iconic fucking comic covers for that miniseries is Hulk holding up a fucking mountain. So in one of the fights, Peter's suit gets fucked up, and so he goes into one of the high tech rooms, and he finds out that if I remember, I think it was Mr. Fantastic or one of the superheroes, one of their suits got fucked up, and they went back and they were able to go into one of the machines and it repaired their suit. And so Peter's like, "Hey, how do you get your suit fixed?" And one of the character he's talking to is like, "Oh, I went into this room and it has a fucking repairing machine, so it repaired my suit." So Peter goes in and they didn't describe what the machine looked like. And so Peter goes up to one of the containment things and he touches it and it opens up and there's this black ball, this black orb. And so he reaches out and he thinks this is the machine. And so so he touches it and the thing starts crawling all over him. And during this time, while he's looking at the machine, he's thinking to himself, you know, I'm kind of tired of the whole red and blue outfit that I've been wearing for fucking since 63 or no or 65. I like I'm tired. I don't really want to look up like the exact year that Amazing Fantasies number 15 came out, but I think it's 63 or 65. But he's like, I've been wearing this suit for fucking years now. I'm kind of tired of it. Like it's a classic, but I want something new. And so one of the characters that was in Secret Wars is the second Spider Woman, and she wears a black and white suit that has the Venom logo, the Venom insignia. That's Spider Woman, the second Spider Woman's outfit, and she had white gloves and shit like that. But he's thinking, I kind of want a suit like that. And so when he touches the symbiote, which is what it was, the Beyonder essentially had it in containment. When he touches it, he's mentally thinking this what he wants for the costume, and so it replicates it. And so that's where black suited Spider-Man comes from. He has the white insignia, just like the second Spider Woman. He has just white goggles for his eyes, and then he has the whites on the backs of his hands, and that's where he shoots his web out of. That's why it looks like that. And so when the Venom symbiote is forcibly removed from Peter, it still retains the costume design, but now the eyes are more jagged and it has a big fucking toothy maw. So again, that there's two big things. Like everything about the Venom symbiote that we know and love is because of Peter. So if it's going to look like that, how do you explain it? Oh my god, how are they going to explain it? How are they going to explain like if so bear with me. In this movie, when Eddie gets the suit and he turns into Venom for the first time, is he going to have is he going to have the fucking insignia, the giant spider insignia that wraps around his back? How are they going to explain that? Why is he got a giant spider insignia on his chest and back? How are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? You can't. Like it's like there's no way this movie is. I'm going to enjoy this movie, but I'm going to see it. I'm going to see it with the lowest expectations because there's so many things wrong with it. Like you can't have the Venom symbiote without Spider-Man. You just can't. Without this, like you could feasibly do it, but you'd have to do the ultimate storyline, and even then, it's still tied with Peter. So, again, going back to comic book lore. Now, this is the Ultimates Spider Man storyline, so it's completely different. This Venom is completely different from 616 or main continuity Spider Man or Venom. So, in the Ultimate comic book line, Peter's father and Eddie Brock's father uh, were, were best friends. And so that's how Eddie and Peter know each other. And they're not too much older than each other. If I remember correctly, Peter's like 15, 16 when he meets up with Eddie again. But Eddie, I think, is like 20, like early 20s. Like they're not too old. Like they're like in the comics. In the original continuity, I think like Peter is like fuck. I don't even know how old Peter and Eddie are like their age difference in the main continuity. But in the Ultimates, Eddie and Peter's father are working on a special type of suit to wear that will cure cancer, and it's bioorganic. And essentially, you just get a glob of this goop, you touch it, and it starts to spread over your body, and then you go into a hibernative state. You go into a state of hibernation, and it's supposed to devour and remove and completely cure you of cancer. Peter's father dies, and if I remember correctly, Eddie's parents died too, and so Eddie's been um, in a foster home, and he's working with Dr. Connors now, and that jar of goop is still there. If I remember correctly, Doc Connors has it, and it's sealed away. Like he doesn't allow anybody to deal with it. But I think Eddie's been working on it, and Eddie's not a reporter like Peter is. And Peter's yeah, Peter's at this point a reporter for the Daily Bugle, but he's not a rival reporter. He's a scientist, and he's a intern with Connors. And so Peter finally meets up with Brock, and they start talking, and Peter's all interested in it because it's one of the few things that he knows about his father. So he sneaks into the Connors lab, and he opens up the vault, and he fucking opens up the jar, and he touches it, and bam, it starts spreading all over him. And he goes on a rampage, essentially. At first, he's like, wow, this is cool. Like, kind of weird, kind of funky. Like, I got the spider symbol on me and everything. Like, this is weird. And so he starts going around, and I forgot how it happens, but he sees a shooter, like a mugger with a gun, and he's in an alleyway, and he starts arguing with the dude. And if I remember correctly, the dude just killed somebody, and it brings back the memories of Uncle Ben, and that just snaps him into fucking the Venom symbiote. And he freaks the dude out, and he almost kills him. And then he goes on a rampage. It's fucking weird. The Avengers come in, or the Ultimates as they're called in the Ultimate line. The Avengers come in, they shock him, and they're like, "Yeah, Peter, like you went on a fucking rampage," and he was all hulked out like the fuck like Venom. And so, God, if I remember correctly, Eddie finds out about this. Peter tells him, "Oh, I got to destroy the symbiote. Like the shit, it's bad juju. It's really bad." So he takes it, and he fucking throws it into a chimney because heat. Like in the original continuity, uh, harmonics is Venom's main weakness. Sonic, anything sonic with vibrations and harmonics and shit. Like that's how Peter's able to rip the suit off, is because uh, the church bells in the chapel are ringing, and the harmonic level is enough to fucking just cause it to pretty much go insane. And so he's able to rip it off. Well, in the Ultimates line, it's heat. Intense heat and electricity are able to uh, pretty much subdue the Venom symbiote. So Peter throws it into a chimney at a factory because of the intense heat. At this, I think it was like a foundry or something, or just a factory where they had an intense, like a massive furnace or something. And so he throws it in. And then what we find out is that there's two jars. Peter's father had a jar, and Eddie's father had a jar. And Eddie had been keeping his hidden, and he was testing uh, on Peter's. So Eddie opens up his jar, and he touches it, and it consumes him. He's not able to control it like Peter did because reasons that we find out later. But it consumes him, and it turns him into a hulking monstrosity Venom. And I believe a lab assistant comes in, and they see like this big fucking purplish goo ball monstrosity just behind a desk, and it lashes out and eats him, because that's Venom's thing in the Ultimates comic line, is it devours fucking people. It's like, I would say the Ultimates version is a lot more horrifying than normal Venoms. And so it starts eating people. And come to find out, the reason why God, this is probably the most hokey, like, bullshit Deus Ex Machina thing for this whole plot line, along with the Clone Saga. Like, the Clone Saga and the Ultimates line is really bad too. But the reason why Peter is able to control the Venom suit as good as he could is because of Peter's DNA. Peter's father put his own blood and DNA into the suit to test it. So both jars have Peter's father's DNA, which is part of Peter's DNA, which is why Peter's able to control it partially, because 50% of his DNA is his father's. Eddie can't control it because he doesn't have any biological DNA connection to the suit. So he needs Peter's blood, and he needs to devour it. He either needs the blood sample from Peter, or he needs to devour Peter to allow him to control the suit. Well, Peter's not going to fucking just stand there and give him any of his blood or allow him to be eaten. So he fights Venom. And at the same time, Doc Connors took a sample of Peter's blood and some of the Venom symbiote that was inside of it, and somehow makes a fetus Carnage from the bloodstream. And so this fetus Carnage is a vampire. Carnage is a vampire in this. And it's in a fucking test tube jar. And you can actually look up the image, because when I first read it as a kid, I was like, what the fuck? So it goes on so it breaks out and it eats Gwen Stacy. And Gwen Stacy in this timeline is she's a runaway. And so she's been living at the Peter's house for quite a while in the comics. By this time in the comic line, she's coming home, or she's leaving the house to hang out with friends, or she just got back from hanging out with friends, or whatever. Essentially, she's doing something outside the Peter's residence, and because it has Peter's DNA, it has an empathic memory of Peter. So it thinks it's Peter, and so it goes directly home, and it encounters Gwen, and it's hungry, and so its primal instincts kick in, and it flat out devours her. And it goes on a fucking rampage, and it starts eating people. And so at this point in the storyline, Peter goes after the fucking goes after Carnage, and out of nowhere, fucking Venom comes in to the picture and starts fighting it. And they're both like these two giant fucking goop monsters. And Venom flat out beats Carnage and eats it, and turns into this even nastier looking, stupid looking mole rat monster. Because he has beady red eyes now with like buck teeth, and is like 40 times more muscular. Doesn't have the Venom symbiote logo anymore. And then spits out a clone of Gwen Stacy. And then he's like, all right, I'm done. I got what I needed. And so Eddie's now able to control the symbiote. And then he gets captured by Firefly, or whatever the fuck the dude's name is, gets captured, and he disappears for the longest time. Like, we never see him again in the Ultimate Spider-Man storyline until Miles Morales. And that version of Venom is not Eddie Brock, and it kind of looks like a fucking xenomorph, which was actually pretty cool. Like, take the xenomorph body minus the tail and the weird elongated head, just put Venom's head on it, you're fine. That's basically what it looks like. Pretty badass design. Okay. This is why you can't have that. This is why you can't have that one work. Apparently, it crashes into Earth. So you can't do the whole, hey, Eddie Brock, like his father was working on it. Like, oh, his father and mother were working on this cure for cancer. And it turns you into Venom. Because that had to have been the most outlandish storyline ever. Like like to bring Venom in. Like it's a failed cure for cancer. Like that was kind of stupid. And that was one of the worst things about the Ultimates line of Spider-Man. And I think that was like I think Ultimate Spider-Man is far superior than a lot of Peter's storylines in the main continuity. Granted, uh, Brian Michael Bendis, I think that's his full name, or just Bendis. Bendis wrote from issue 1 to like think fuck. I think he wrote everything for. I know he wrote everything for Peter. I forget how many issues. It's like 150, 200 issues. A lot of fucking issues. And he did that from like the early 2000s until now. Because I think he's ending his run as writer for Miles Morales. So he's been working on Spider Man from the start of the Ultimate storyline of the Ultimates series to now. So you've got a singular writer. But then you have like the original continuity that had like 30 to 100. Like there's been dozens and dozens. Countless people have written Spider-Man. Fuck Dan Slott though. Superior Spider-Man. So yeah, the Venom movie is gonna just be shit. They're gonna make him into a vigilante, an ant. I don't know if they'll make him an anti-hero. Like that was what he was in Lethal Protector, hence Lethal Protector. Like he saved people, but he also killed fucking criminals. Um, let's see. I'm trying to think of how they're gonna like. I'm gonna try and fucking theorize or postulate my ideas as to what they're gonna do for this. He's gonna be an anti-hero. Might be Blade. He might be on on even ground with Blade. I think that's how they'll portray him. They'll portray him kind of like Blade. He's a loner. He's uh, he's a rebel, an outcast, an outsider. He doesn't play by the rules. Uh, let's see what else. He, he's going to have a love interest. He's going to have a love interest, but he can't be with her because he has a monster inside of him. Oh my god, if they have that. If they fucking do that. Holy, okay, I'm going to call that. That I'm going to call. He's going to have a love interest, but he can't be with her because he has a monster inside of him. Whole, holy fucking shit! If they actually put that line, if they put that fucking line in the movie where she's like, "I love you," and he looks to her and oh, okay, I can already see it. I can already see how they're gonna have it. They're gonna have Tom Hardy. He's gonna be in the Venom symbiote. He's gonna have. It's like the mask, like the face is gonna peel back, and we're gonna see Tom Hardy's face, and she's gonna be like, "I love you," and he's gonna be like, "I love you too, but I can't be with you," and she'll be like, Why not? Like, like we can make it work." He's gonna be like, "There's a monster inside of me," and then he's gonna the mask is gonna fucking fold back over, and he's gonna turn back into Venom, and then he's gonna jump away, and then hard cut, like, or fade to black while she looks back, like she's looking into the distance, watching him leave her, and then fade to black, and there might be like she might be on top of a building or something, and it might be at night or the sun setting, and then again fade to black, dramatic music swell, and then we cut back, and it's like a flash forward. It's a time jump forwards, maybe a few weeks or a few months or a few years, and we're gonna see like the fucking newspaper rolling down the side of the street or something, or some crime activities happening, and we're gonna see like a grungy looking Tom Hardy with like a hoodie on or a jacket with the collar up, and there's like someone's crying for help, and then we just see like the Venom symbiote start to go over his face, and hard cut, cue credits. If they do that, if they fucking do that, I'm not going to stop bragging that I called that. I won't. I will tweet day in, day out, every day for a month after that movie comes out, going, I fucking called it. Yeah, and she doesn't give up on them. Oh, oh, I fucking swear. I swear if they do that. If they fucking do that, that'll be the most awful fucking ending. But yeah, they're gonna have him be that rebel loner who can't be with anyone because he has a monster inside of him. Um, Car- Carnage is gonna be the villain. I already can see it. Like you can't. There's no other villains. There's no other villains except for the U.S. military or some scientific group. There's like Venom has no other villains other than Spider-Man and Carnage. That's it. That's all Venom's got. Venom is a villain. He's a Spider-Man villain. If you do a solo movie of Venom doing the fucking Lethal Protector, like like what? You're gonna throw some no-name fucking villain? You gonna throw out Carjack from the Thunderstrike fucking comic, or Blood? Was it Blood X? Like you gonna throw out fucking some stupid ass motherfucker, like some D class villain to be like Shocker or something like that? Like you're gonna throw out a D class villain to fight with Venom? Like you can't. He's gonna like the villain has to be super strong, super durable, and be an equal to Venom, if not stronger. The only thing I can think of is Carnage. So they're gonna do Carnage. God, I swear. Oh, holy fuck! I swear, if they do something stupid like the ship that crashes is an alien ship and it has two separate jars, one black and one red. I fucking swear if they do that. Oh God, I swear. And would be worse is if Eddie Brock reluctantly dons the black symbiote suit to stop the Carnage symbiote. Like the military or some, like the U.S. military's in this story is probably going to test it out. They're going to see how powerful it is, and then they're going to fucking put it on some crazy psychopathic dude in the military, like oh god, I forget the dude from Incredible Hulk who became Abomination, someone like that, like this really psychopathic asshole, and he's gonna fucking realize he's gonna become fucking hungry for power. He's going to have a god complex. He's going to think himself of a god, and then he's going to go on a killing spree. And then Eddie Brock like gets the suit taken off of him finally, which is why he's in the MRI machine in the teaser trailer. And then his love interest, who's probably going to be a scientist, is going to be like, You you have to save the city. You're the only one." And he's going to be like, "I can't go back. I can't." Like, I can't do it. I'll lose control. And then he's gonna see like a news thing, or she's not the one that convinces him. Like his plucky sidekick is, or he sees on the news or the military's like, you have to put the suit back on. And he's gonna be like, I'm not gonna put the suit back on. And then he's gonna see a news thing, or they're gonna mention that his love interest is in danger. And that's what's gonna fucking rally him to put the suit back on. And then he's gonna fight him. And I don't know what they'll do with Carnage. Like, if they kill off Carnage, like, you got no other sequels. I mean, you could do a Planet of the Symbiotes plot, I guess. I don't fucking know, but that, like, the ending to that was fucking stupid because in the comics, like, like the Venom symbiote literally wills, like, does an emo scream, which causes all the symbiotes to want to kill themselves, and they do. Like, that's essentially what happens. It's fucking stupid. Like, this movie's just gonna be like really bad. It's gonna be real bad. Like, as soon as I heard they were doing a Venom movie, and I saw that Tom Hardy, I'm fine with Tom Hardy being Eddie Brock. He'd be perfect. What I think they should have done is they should have waited. They should have waited. Like, do it after Infinity War. Do a Venom, do two more Spider-Man movies. Do Spider-Man 2 with another supervillain, and then do a black suited Spider-Man movie, then deal with Venom, and then Venom fucks off, like he escapes. Then do Lethal Protector, like a Lethal Protector storyline. Like, you can do that. You don't have to like that's what you should do. Like, in all honesty, I think the Venom storyline should be the keystone cap for the first Spider-Man trilogy with this new Spider-Man storyline. Like, do it right when Peter's getting out of high school before he goes into college. Oh, God, like, there's so many things that I have gripes with, also with how they're probably going to do Spider-Man, because they said they want to follow him growing into Spider-Man. So I was like, okay, you could do three trilogies, two trilogies. You could do the high school years for one trilogy, and then college years, and then maybe do after college, like a trilogy. So you could do that, and it'd be like a Harry Potter fucking movie. So the first trilogy, we've already had Shocker, Vulture and Shocker, and the Tinkerer in the first movie. I would say Green Goblin should be the well, actually, if I had it my way, if I was Kevin Feige or Phage, if I was him and I was the mastermind behind the whole fucking cinematic universe, I wouldn't even have. I'd have Peter come in to Infinity, like Peter in Infinity War this early, kind of meh. I'm kind of meh on that, along with him wearing the fucking Iron Spider suit. Like, keep Peter in the original suit that he has in Homecoming and Civil War. Like, do that. Like, keep him in that suit until the trilogy's over. So Green Goblin should be this. Introduce Harry Osborn and Norman Osborn in the second movie as like a new kid, like a new student. Like, he's like his father, like he's a troublemaker. Is a total asshole. Father's like, fuck it, like, you can't stay in a boarding school. Like, none of the boarding schools or like private schools will keep you. So you're going to public school. Fuck you. And so he goes to Midtown High, where Peter's supposed to be going to Midtown High. So you bring him there, introduce him, have him become a friend with Peter, have Norman Osborn just doing his own thing, and then uh, maybe introduce Lizard or introduce Matter of fact, introduce Doc Connors, like second or third movie in, like introduce him, and have Peter wanting to be his intern in college. That way you can slip in a Lizard movie in the next trilogy. Maybe Doctor Octopus or another fucking. No, Doctor Octopus would probably be better for a college era Spider-Man. Introduce a villain, have him fight, blah 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 blah. That's the second movie. Like the second movie is basically staging up for the final movie in this trilogy that I have. Like I haven't thought of it fully for who would be a good pick for a second villain. Um, Third villain in the movies, Green Goblin. Like introduce Green Goblin, um, and have him fight Peter, and have Peter beat him, and the Green Goblin disappears. That's it. Like no Gwen Stacy death, none of that. Just Peter fights Green Goblin. Oh fuck, I forget the storyline, but it's for the later one. So, anyways, have Peter graduate high school after fighting the Green Goblin, and have him preparing to become roommates with Harry Osborn in college. And so, it, like, I would want a tonal shift, like the like something happens in the third movie. Probably have Liz dump Peter, but they've already done that. So, eh, if I had it my way, Liz would date Peter in all three movies up until the third movie where she breaks up with him. Like something heavy and emotional happens which breaks Peter. And so Peter does not want to be with anybody. Like he gives up on being with anybody because he's Spider-Man. So in the second trilogy, we move in. Peter's more of a loner. Like he's still friends with Harry, but he's doing his own thing and he's struggling. So the first movie in the second trilogy, Peter's in college. Uh he's okay. Like I wouldn't do what Sam Raimi did in the second movie where Peter's just fucking failing at every goddamn thing, even though that was pretty good. I'd have Peter struggling, not failing, struggling. He's trying to hold his own in college. He's trying to hold a job at the Daily Bugle, um, which like we like you don't have to show him fucking getting the job. Like we all know Peter works at the Daily Bugle. It's his iconic job. He's a camera. He's a photographer. I also introduced that Peter has like an affinity for photography. Like he likes it in the first trilogy. Like he could be fucking like a hobby or a fucking he's part of like a photography group in the school and he takes photos for the paper something. So uh Peter's struggling at the Daily Bugle. uh J. Jonah Jameson just does not like a lot of the pictures he's giving him because they're all blurry because Peter's kind of broke. He can't have like a high quality camera. Betty Brant's interested in him, which is somebody that he was interested in and he actually dated in the comic books. Um, and this is probably going to be the oddest and probably the riskiest movie of this trilogy and probably of the whole trilogy. I probably wouldn't throw out a big be all end all villain. I probably wouldn't. The majority of the movie would be focusing on Peter struggling to try and keep everything stable. like trying to keep his head afloat in college, trying to keep his head afloat at his job, trying to hide his identity from Harry, J. Jonah Jameson, Betty Brant, etc. Like it'd be a very character heavy, character focused movie, and then there'd probably be a fucking villain, like a really shitty villain that's just that just keeps getting like eluding Peter. Like and by eluding, shit, Peter's morals kick in. So like they rob a bank, or they do something big, like they're doing a job, like they're hitting a fucking bank. We'll use the bank. They're robbing a fucking bank, and Peter comes in, swoops in, shows off the new suit, which is more comic book looking. Like it doesn't have the weird wrist things. I would keep uh, Karen, his AI. I'd keep her because that would actually be a good person he could talk to, that he can like relieve some tension and stress with, uh, so he could like rant and vent. But it's more classic Spider-Man outfit instead of what he had in Homecoming. And so he fights the villain, and the villain, like, I don't know, breaks a column in the building, and some of the roof starts collapsing, and there's like a family, and Peter has the perfect opportunity to knock this dude out and finally catch him. But Peter's morals kick in, and he's like, no, I gotta save the family. So he saves the family, and that gives the guy enough time to escape and elude Peter. And so Peter gives chase, and something happens. Like Peter swings around the corner, and bam, there's a fucking truck, like Dot trying to steer out of the way of the guy in the getaway car. And so Peter hits that, crashes into him. Like shit like that. Like Peter's still getting used to being Spider-Man. Plus he's in the city now. That's fine, Dan. Hope you can sleep well. But basically have Peter dealing with the fact that he's moved into the city now uh, instead of the suburbs, essentially, which is what Queens is. So he's dealing with like he's in a new, entirely different environment. Have him deal with that. Uh, Second movie in the trilogy, probably have Dot Connors turn into the Lizard. I'd want the Lizard because it's the college years, so I'd want some more collegey things. Probably the Lizard. Then do same problems as before. Peter's trying to hold down everything. Like he's getting more confident by the end of the first movie. Like he's able to find, like, actually start to be able to maintain it, everything, and find a balance. And then the whole Dot Connors shit kind of throws a wrench in that in the second movie. Um, Probably throw in Norman Osborn into the mix, uh, or Doctor Octavius. Like have somebody putting pressure on Doc Connors to get this fucking cell. And I'd want the cell regeneration ray from the the animated TV show. But have Doc Connors being put under pressure, like Peter, like like have that dichotic, like have that dynamic. Doc Connors is in the same situation as Peter. Uh, Doc Connors' family has like a mortgage or something, or debts, and it's not like he's got like a mob boss debt or some shit. Just normal, everyday shit, like bills to be paid, etc. And if he's able to fucking, get this fucking replication thing ready, like the grants will come in, the fucking budgetary shit, financial shit will be a thing of the past for Doc Connors. So he wants to get it done, but he also wants to get it done because it's breakthrough. He'll be able to get his arm back. Um, he'll be able to cure people that are missing limbs, etc. So he uses it on himself, and he bam turns into the fucking lizard. And so Peter has to deal, and you can introduce the fact that Peter's like family friends, like he's family friends with the guy. Also, I'd introduce Doc Connors helping Peter out as Spider-Man in this movie. Um, not sure entirely how it would work because, like I said, like this is just something I've been tossing around in my head. It's not fully planned out, but basically have them be friends. And so Peter's doing this because Doc Connors is a friend of his. He saves fucking Doc Connors. Uh, he's able to cure him partially, not fully. Like the lizard is still there, so there's a chance that the lizard will come back, um, and have Doc Connors say that he owes him a favor, and that if he ever needs help, that Doc Connors will be there, which we'll need for the Venom symbiote movie. So third movie. Third movie is going to be the toughest in the second trilogy because we're going to want Peter to triumph and like find his calling and understanding and like have like and be able to fucking balance everything. So I'm not entirely sure. Like I've been tossing it around. I'm not entirely sure if I'd do black suited Spider-Man or have Green Goblin come back. Probably do. I'd probably have to do the Venom shit. You'd probably have to. So you do the Venom movie. Just do basically almost a shot for shot remake of the animated Spider-Man series. J. Jonah Jameson's son's an astronaut. He crashes near the Brooklyn Bridge uh, in the space shuttle. Peter goes to save him, and he crashes with the ship, gets washed onto the beach, and he's got the symbiote suit all over him. But he thinks it's just like oil or some shit, and it's completely ruined his suit. And then during the night, Peter has a nightmare, and the suit takes over him, kind of like what happened in the Sam Raimi movie. Peter wakes up, he has a symbiote suit on, he doesn't know where the fuck he is, he's upside down at a building, or he's got like a crook in his hands or something, whatever. Peter goes to Doc Connors, they peel a piece of it off, and he starts examining it, and he's like, holy fuck, like this is a symbiote. Because we don't have the Fantastic Four, because the Fantastic Four in the comics, Mr. Fantastic's the one that tells him, like, Peter, this isn't cloth, like this isn't a normal suit, this is a living breathing thing, it's a symbiote, it's literally surviving off of you, and it's trying to bond with you. So basically you have that, but with Doc Connors, and Doc Connors tells him, like, and this would be later in the movie, like, fuck, I'd probably say around 2/3 of the way through the movie. I would say that the villain that introduced Black Cat. By the way, Black Cat would be introduced in this movie. She's trying to steal a MacGuffin. Uh, Peter stops her. She has an interest in Peter or Spider-Man. Um, I'm trying to think of a good villain to have. Like, I'm not gonna do Sandman. Sandman would be maybe Craven. Introduce Craven as the villain. Maybe Craven. Uh, fuck. Who else would be good? God, now I'm trying to think of an actually good villain to have. Um, maybe Kingpin and bring in Kingpin. Matter of fact, Kingpin, Kingpin would probably be a good villain for. Probably have King introduce Kingpin, also. Black Cat's working for Kingpin. So you have Kingpin, Black Cat, and then the villain, and then the symbiote. Probably going to be Craven. Uh, have Craven. Well, yeah, we'll just use Craven for this because we need a villain. So have Craven in the movie. He's trying to hunt down Spider-Man because he's the ultimate predator or the ultimate like prey or whatever for Craven because Craven's fucking insane. But have Craven in the movie, maybe, or bring in the oh god, what the fuck is their names? They're basically Shocker, Tinkerer, and I forget who else. But there's a bunch of fucking dudes. I forget their names. Sorry, tooth pain, insomnia, and whatnot. But introduce them. Maybe they could be the villains. The point is, Peter has to deal with the villain. He beats them halfway through, like around the around the 2/3 of the way through the movie. He beats them. Because he has the Venom symbiote suit on. But at the same time, Dr. Connors is trying to reach Peter during the fight. And Peter keeps he's trying to talk to Connors while fighting. And Connors keeps telling him like you need to come to the lab quick cuz I found something out about the suit that you have on. And Peter's like, yeah, yeah, I'll be there in a second. And so he keeps fighting and fighting, and he's dealing with Connors insisting constantly, and it pisses him off because the symbiote suit enhances anger, and Peter's getting wrecked by Craven or whatever villain. Like if I actually hammered this out, like whatever villain is getting the edge on him, and Connor's insisting that like he stop whatever the fuck he's doing to get to the lab immediately, pisses Peter off, and he turns into Venom. So kind of like the Ultimates line. And so Peter turns into Venom. He gets bigger, bulkier, he turns into Venom essentially, and totally beats the shit out of him and traumatizes the villain. Like the villain is terrified of what Peter turned into, and Peter reverts back to his normal form. And he's like, "Holy fuck!" Cops come. Peter whips him up, swings off. Finally gets back to Connors. Connors informs him like, "Hey, symbiote suits. It's a symbiote, and like trying to attach itself to you at an accelerated rate." And then Peter's like, "Holy fuck!" Like that's what happened. Like it's starting to take over. That's why I've been like wandering around aimlessly and all this. And so he takes the suit off. And during this whole thing, we'll have subplot B, which is Eddie Brock. Like Eddie Brock could be rival reporter or an intern working for Doc Connors, and like he does something. Basically, he does something. He does something in the lab while Peter's working with Doc Connors, and he finds out like that he's like you could have it like, oh well, he's selling this shit on the side. Ooh, that'd actually work with Craven. Uh, he's making serum on the side behind Doc Connor's back, and he's giving it to Craven to give Craven his edge. We could do that. And so Peter finds out, tells Doc Connors. Doc Connors uh, fires Eddie, calls the cops on him. He gets arrested. He gets released on bail, and so that's where we get our grudge. And so Peter goes to a chapel or a building next to a chapel, what have you, starts ripping the suit off, and fucking Eddie sees Spider-Man swinging off. Um, yeah, you can have Spider-Man tell Doc Connors, or you can have Peter inform him. But he sees Spider-Man, and he sees what's happening, goes into the building, or tries to, and bam, like Peter rips the suit off. He's able to escape, flees, goes to see Doc Connors, uh, reveals his identity to him. Doc Connors is shocked, but he's okay with it, and it explains a lot. Have him be like a father figure to Peter, and then yeah, suit attached itself to. Well, we don't see what happens. We just see Eddie going into the building to try and find Spider-Man because he hates Spider-Man, and then that's it. Like Peter gets better, dons a new suit, maybe a little bit updated, um, and that's it. Like Peter realizes that like Peter has like a moral fucking uh, boost. Like Doc Connors is in on his secret. Doc Connors is willing to help him out. Uh, he's able to overcome his darker side. He's able to fucking cope. And then I'd say at the end of the movie and like throughout the movie, Aunt May's trying to push a date. Like she's like, you gotta find somebody. Like Liz broke your heart, I understand, and like you've been dealing with college and work, and that can be complicated. But you need a girl. And my friend like has a granddaughter or a niece or whatever. They'd be perfect for you. And Peter keeps pushing it aside, and so he's like, you know what, fine. You know what, I'll do it. And then that's Mary Jane. You introduce Mary Jane Watson, and you have the classic fuck like shot for shot remake of the comic book panel where he opens up the door and she's like, "You struck it rich, Tiger," and that's it. Like end the movie there, and then you could do a movie like maybe the second movie in the third trilogy would be Venom, dealing with Venom. Third, like first movie I would say bring back Green Goblin, like deal with that whole thing. Like you could have Norman Osborn dealing like being putting the pressure on fucking Kurt Connors for the Ray because he wants to fucking sell it or something, or cure himself the Green Goblin problem, or enhance it. Uh, Basically, Green Goblin comes back. You could do Green Goblin like as the first movie or the third movie in that trilogy. Like it doesn't really matter. Like the whole thing still applies. Like I do the storyline where Peter's captured by the Green Goblin, and he finds out that it's like his son's best friend, like it's Peter Parker, and then have them both fighting in the warehouse. Like, God, that was a classic fucking storyline. Loved it. Basically, do that. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I'd have. I'd probably have Green Goblin get captured and taken in by Shield, because then you can do the Thunderbolts, which is run by Norman Osborn. Like I'd maybe do that, but make the Thunderbolts like an like not a shield or government sanctioned group. Make them like just a villain group, like the Legion of Doom that they're doing for Justice League. So you could probably do that, or like you could do or like you could do a Sinister Six movie. It's the last movie in the trilogy because you got a bunch of villains. Like it's been 9 fucking movies. You totally have enough villains to do that. You could have Green Goblin, fucking Green Goblin, uh, Vulture. Uh, you could have the Lizard be a fucking reluctant member. You can introduce Mysterio in one of the trilogy movies. like have Mysterio working with a villain, like Mysterio and who? Hmm. I'd say Sandman. Have like Sandman. No, because then you have to introduce the Rhino. Maybe that. Maybe that's could be one of them. You know what? You could have the Rhino in the first of the first movie of the second trilogy, because he's just kind of meh. Like he's a one note character really as a villain. So you could do the Rhino getting away or beating Peter, because the Rhino's fucking a lot stronger than Peter, and Peter's just getting out of high school. So you could have the Rhino. You could have the Rhino, because then the Rhino could be in Sinister Six with the Vulture, the Lizard. Then you could have Mysterio, Craven, and Doc Octopus. You could have Doctor Octopus be in the first of the third trilogy. Like he's a reluctant aide, kind of like in the Ultimates comic line. Because in the Ultimates line, Doctor Octopus or Doctor Octavius was working for Norman Osborn, and both of them are caught in the same explosion, which creates the Green Goblin, which is an Oz explosion. Basically, Oz is Norman Osborn's version of the soldier serum, or his attempt on it. And he injected in a spider, which bit Peter, which gave him his abilities. And so he wanted to try and replicate it, and it exploded. And some of that Oz came onto uh, Dr. Octavius, and he gained. Tell it's weird. It's really weird with Doctor Octopus and the fucking Ultimates. He has like a telepathic ability, which allows him to magnetically like pull junk to form the tentacles, like the four extra arms. It's weird. But I just have like Doctor Octopus just having the four arms because he's a brilliant scientist, and he built them so that he can do twice as like three times as much, like three times as much things as he could do with just two hands. So he's got two sets of four extra arms to grab shit across the room, and he's trying to help Norman Osborn. He's like his sidekick. And so like Norman Osborn has to keep using the serum to keep himself going, and like he goes into a rage, or he wants to try and make himself stronger because he found some of like the super soldier serum, or he got some of Cap's blood. Something happens, an explosion happens, it fucks up the little thing in the back of the neck that controls the things, and Dr. Octopus becomes Dr. Octopus. Like, and you could just show him like wandering out. Like you don't even have Peter fight him. So you could do that. Like that could be fucking in the first movie, and then Green Goblin gets knocked out and whatnot. And there you go. Second movie would be Venom, and Peter would be at this point dating Mary Jane. The third trilogy would probably be time skips. By the way, I'd say first movie would be almost right after the second trilogy is over. Second movie in the third trilogy would probably be like a year or so later. Like Peter's Peter knows, like Peter's confident. He's able to handle dating Mary Jane, kind of. Like he's still like the whole first movie would be him struggling to date Mary Jane. Second movie would kind of be dealing with that. Maybe in the first movie have him reveal to Mary Jane Spider. Basically, the second movie would be a time skip where Peter moves in with her. Like they get an apartment. Like Peter's out of college. Like he's working at the college now alongside Doc Connors, but he's also still part-time reporter for or photographer for the Daily Bugle. Uh, and then introduce Venom, have Venom go after Mary Jane and Aunt May and Doc Connors, basically go after all of Peter's friends and family and loved ones. And then have Venom and Peter fight. Venom gets the shit beat out of him, or he's over. Like Doc Connors helps Peter. Actually, yeah, we'd have Doc Connors get fucked over by Venom because he was the lab assistant. But have Doc Connors work on a sonic device, and that's what Peter uses to beat him. And Venom is able to slip away. Then you can do your Lethal Protector movie, Sony. Now you can do it. Like we've done fucking 8 fucking movies now. Now you can do your solo Venom movie. But and then the final movie would be like this. See, now here's the tough part. You could because you got to think like this is a 9 movie trilogy. Like this is a fucking saga. Like no other superhero is gonna have 9 movies. You could do a Death of Spider-Man, but then like you've only got 2 movies where Peter's with Mary Jane. I would say cripple Peter. I'd say do a Sinister Six movie. Do a Sinister Six movie, or and maybe introduce. And I hate saying this. Maybe introduce a clone. You could do maybe a clone or a pseudo clone. Have Peter fighting the like have Peter fight the Sinister Six. He beats most of them, and then it's a full-on fight with the Green Goblin, and have him like lose an arm or a leg. And Peter's like, I'm done. Like I'm done with the superhero business, and just quietly live with Mary Jane. Uh, and then introduce Ben Riley. Like I know people would probably be like, "Oh, do Miles Morales." I kind of want Ben Riley. Like I want Scarlet Spider. Like introduce Scarlet Spider. I'd say do Ben Riley, or if you want to Miles Morales. But like if you do Ben Riley, like, because Miles Morales is a kid, and that would mean you'd have another 9 fucking Spider-Man movies. But if you do Ben Riley, he'd be like the same age as Peter. Because basically, I kind of want to lead. If I was Kevin Feige, I kind of want to lead into the M2 storyline. Like I'd want Spider Girl, which is Peter's daughter. So I'd want like I don't know, because I know Marvel movies are going to be around for a long fucking time, and they're probably going to be around like for decades, like decades to fucking come. So if I was Kevin Feige and I was like, I'm looking forward to 20, 30 fucking years, like do the M2 universe with like Daredevil's, I think it's Daredevil's son, and then fucking Spider Girl and like all those characters. Like I didn't really read a lot of this of the M2 universe, but like do that. You could do that. So You can have Ben Riley, who's Uncle Ben to Spider Girl, kind of spin that around, have him die in like a later movie with Spider Girl, or like the first movie with Spider Girl fighting like the villain, something like that. So basically, that'd be my fucking nine, my 9 movie Spider-Man idea, and that's just things I've been bouncing around for years, like for like the last year or so, or a couple of years, if Marvel ever got the Spider-Man rights. Now, the other thing that I was going to rant about, and I apologize for that not being a short rant like I said it was going to be like a while ago. Uh, the second thing that I was going to rant about, which is going to be, I'd say it's going to be short because it's kind of a non-issue now, and it's kind of just meh. Uh, Give me a second. I gotta fucking get out of Facebook on my phone. Okay. I am incredibly grateful that the atheist community is gone on the internet. And I kind of got this feeling a while back. So there's a guy I watch called Cool Hard Logic. He does World of Batshit, where he disproves conspiracy theorists and crazy people. And I also follow uh, Potholer 89 or whatever, on here on YouTube. I'm subscribed to both, and I've got a few, and I was looking at a lot of my subscriptions to a lot of people, and a lot of them don't do videos anymore per se, because oh god, my tea is cold, but a lot of them got flagged, and a lot of their channels have been taken down. So there's that. And I started getting nostalgic per se, and I started thinking back like 10 years ago. God, a decade ago. Like, think of that. For the people, like, for the people in my sphere of, uh, like, my sphere of communication, like, I won't even say sphere of influence or anything like that, or community, but the people who know me like, there's a lot of you that have known me for almost a decade. Like, I've known Chemo for a decade, uh, a lot of fucking people I've known for over a decade or a decade. And a decade ago was when a lot of atheist slash theist debates were happening. And another thing that kind of spawned this was straight dope. Like, I was making pancakes uh, like I said, a few days ago. I was making pancakes in the morning. So I'm making pancakes and flipping my pancakes, and I'm putting butter on my pancakes that are done, and I'm putting more batter on the pan or the griddle. And I'm sitting there and go, whatever the fuck happened to Straight Dope? Like, I'm subscribed to Straight Dope, and he did this weird fucking live stream with, I think, his girlfriend like a couple of years back, and it was just this really cringy thing to watch because I think they were drunk. But he hasn't been around for the longest time. Wonder what the fuck happened to him. And I'm thinking, I'm like, wow, wow, that's damn. And then I started thinking. And so I started, and as I'm thinking, I'm going back and I'm thinking of fucking The Amazing Atheist with his rants against fucking theists and shit. And I'm thinking of all the debates I sat through watching, like, people argue with creationists. And then I'm thinking of Venom Fang X and all those fucking weirdos. And one of my friends on Facebook posted about fucking, oh god, I forgot the dude's name. Oh, Variablast. They had posted like, remember him, and it was a picture of Variablast, and I'm like, holy fuck. And then I started thinking about what happened after the theists stopped arguing. Like they left, they disappeared, like, or they just receded back to their caves. And I'm like, well, whatever happened to Dawa Films and all them? And then once those thoughts and questions disappeared, then came the biggest thing in my that I remember from that time on YouTube and Blog TV was the arguing, the constant arguing and debates, disagreements between the atheist community and then the fragmentation of the atheist community, because the vast majority of the atheist community on YouTube were only friends and acquaintances because they had a singular purpose: refute creationists and theists. And once that I don't want to say it's like the Nazis, but it's like the Nazis. If like I'm not sure a lot of people think about this, but I've thought about it a few times. Like, what would happen if the Nazis didn't have an enemy that they've made up? Like like you have this insular group like the Nazis, and they go, well, the inferior races are the opposition. They're the they're the enemy. And so what happens if they get rid of that enemy? Well, now they're going to go inwards on themselves and find and pick out a new enemy. And so that's kind of what happened with the atheist community, where the theists and the creationists and the flat earthers and all them, like, everybody was like there was the Pone Olympics and the Golden Crocodile Awards, like shit like that. And so the theists stopped. They stopped engaging and they just disappeared. And so the atheist community now didn't have an opposition. And so they turned inward, and that's when there was all kinds of infightings. You had people arguing that, like, this person was horribly racist. You had this person saying that they were a fascist or a homophobe and all kinds of shit. Like, so much infighting. There was so much infighting. And so that fragmented the atheist community. And so I'm kind of thankful that the atheist community is no longer around. Like, it's still kind of there. Like, you got people, like, you'll always have people like refuting like flat earthers, but those are more like conspiratorial people or anti-conspiratorial people, like potholer. Potholer's an anti-conspiratorial, I would say. Like, you have oh god, what the fuck? I forget the dude's name, but he's done so many videos on the dude's an anti-climate climate change, or he's a climate change denialist. And so Potholer's done a bunch of videos on him and other people denying climate change or throwing out conspiratorial things about climate change, etc. So Potholer's been doing videos on that. Cool Hard Logic does videos on flat earthers, people who think the fucking moon's a hologram, um, people who think that people who think that planes are demons, gravity. There's some people who think gravity doesn't exist and it's a lie. Uh, God, I forgot what his most recent video was, because God, it was like a big drought for World of Batshit, where he did like 7 parts, and that was like last year around this time, or like a month or two like before around this time, like around the, and I mean like around this month last year, where like part 7 was out or had just recently been out. And there was a big drought between 8 and 9, and he just released those not too long ago. I think part 8 came out in like June, so like there's big gaps between Cool Hard Logic's videos. Uh, but yeah, like I don't know, like I unsubscribed from the Amazing Atheist fucking like in 2011, around the time I joined Hate Club or was added to Hate Club. Uh, Hate Club kind of fucking, like, to be completely honest, Hate Club kind of just drained me for drama. Like, I'd say around 2011, I was still into it. Like, I remember Brett Keane being in it, and Stick Medane, and God, Busy Bumblebee or whatever the fuck that dude's name was. Trying to think. Then you had the Occupy. Like one of the biggest things I remember about the this whole thing was the atheist community was was heavily divided by the Occupy Wall Street movement. I remember that because you had like people like Eden's Cancer and Dev Shell. Uh, Dev Shell fucking huh, holy fuck! Like I mentioned it before in a few groups. I'm not sure if I mentioned on here, but DevShell, I remember getting into a few arguments with DevShell on about OWS, where he stated that the Federal Reserve had lead bars painted gold inside. There was no gold in Fort Knox. I remember that. I remember arguing with him about economics, and then he left the group that he was attached to, and I have quite a few people that I still talk to that were from that group, like Frank and Belgian Dan and my friend Jen and Shadow Ninja, fucking oh god, my friend Carrie. Like there's like 12 to 20 other people that I was close friends with around the time that were in that group with DevShell when DevShell spouted that fucking stupid shit. Then you had Eden's Cancer saying that him and a bunch of gangs in New York were gonna in Manhattan were gonna put fucking copper wiring in their jackets so that when police tried to stun them with fucking tasers and uh tasers, it was gonna fucking backfire. That was fucking stupid shit. Uh, Pro tip that's not gonna help. Like it's not gonna short out the taser. It's just going to fucking probably catch you on fire or electrocute you. Then you had James Pope arguing with Rith Randall, aka Unseen Perfidy, Malian Dialogue. Like both of them made videos back and back over Occupy Wall Street. Um, just a lot of fucking people in the community were arguing over that, and like and then scandals just started happening. A lot of drama, a lot of things like pocket groups began turning on each other because I remember that happening a lot where certain groups like one of their members would say something out of line or they'd have a thought that was differing from the group and so they'd throw them under the bus or they'd out them for something. um, then then when I came back to the internet in 2015 because I wasn't around because of internet issues for like 8 fucking months. I came back around like March of 2015, and that's when I found out about SJWs and all that shit, and that divided what was left of the atheist community because now people were siding with SJWs and some were anti-SJW, and then there was a lot of drama between those groups, and then there was a lot more scandals like Unseen Perfidy had a big scandal with like 20 women. on fucking some SJW group he was a part of, like a lot of fucking shit. So I'm kind of thankful that the atheist community is no longer a thing on YouTube. Like if you were to throw me into that fucking if you were to send me back a decade, I probably I probably wouldn't join that community. I probably wouldn't. If you sent me back 10 years, back to 2008, and you were like, just do what you do normally. And if I came back home and I was on the computer and on YouTube or Blog TV, I'd probably just join one of the other groups I was a part of. Like I'd probably hop into like my friend Frank's stream or maybe Rith's stream because Rith didn't like there were times where Rith didn't really do a lot of shit where he was bitching and complaining about like theists or Dawa films or Variablast or Stigmadane or who that or Brett Keane or whoever the fuck it was. Like he wouldn't talk about them. Like he'd just be ranting and raving about video games and talking about pop culture shit. Um, I wouldn't be going to any of fake Sig and stuff. I wouldn't be going to the Amazing Atheist stuff. I would definitely not go to Galen stuff because Galen was just reciting shit from books he read about fucking uh, Richard Dawkins. God, then the oh my God, so many fucking people stroking off Richard Dawkins around that time. Oh my God, such a cringy, painful fucking few years. Just bad times all around. I'm thankful that it's not a thing anymore. It's why I've just completely avoided like SJW bullshit. Like I cannot be asked to deal with that shit anymore. I'm just gonna watch what I watch, enjoy what I watch, and just do my own thing. Like I'm not joining a group that's anti or for SJWs and or anything. Like the atheist community and the shit that followed suit kind of just made me go, yeah, I don't want to be a part of a group. I don't want to be part of a movement like that. Like there's so much fucking infighting and drama and gossip. Like holy fuck, it was bad. It was real bad. So yeah, I'm gonna probably take some more fucking medication and I'll probably make some pancakes, have something to eat, make some more tea. Probably watch something on YouTube. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Hope you have a nice one, and I'll try and do another one of these soon.